when I first started FFL, I remember this like it was yesterday. I went to an appointment and it was a male client, and he said, "Do you do well in this industry?" And I said, I guess you could say that. And he said, "Well, this is such a male dominant industry. Like, I'm surprised that you like are actually doing this. Like, you have to door knock, you have to, go to people's homes. Like, does that make you uncomfortable?" And I was like, "No, this is literally the best business ever. I love what I do. I get to help clients." And since then, I've noticed that FFL, like, women have been dominating, and there's more and more women and females coming in every single day and just tearing up the leaderboards. So both of these females that we're bringing on are absolute lady bosses. Casey Traut has been with us for, I believe, around 6-7 months. She crushed it from day one, just absolutely came in, plugged into the FFL system, and she's unstoppable. Katelynn Blackburn, she has been here for less than 90 days. She, after this month, will be on track for Hall of Fame. So with us less than 90 days, absolutely crushing it. And she simply just plugs into the system. So without further ado, China, if you can bring them on. Hey ladies, how are you?
Good. How about you, Nina?
Good, good. Can you both hear me okay?
Yeah. Can you see us? Can you hear us?
Yes, I can. You guys are awesome. I'm so excited. I know I texted you both the other day, and I kind of broke down what you guys needed to do every single month for the rest of the year in order to hit Hall of Fame. So I know that's a big goal of yours. But yeah, everyone's super excited to hear from you guys. So yeah, everyone comment lady bosses down below if you guys are excited to hear from Casey and Katelynn. So today is basically going to be an objection, like hardcore objection training workshop. I mean, no two better to people to have on than you two yourselves. You guys are crushing it in the home and on the phones, and yeah, we'll kind of go from there. So if you each want to give a little bit of an introduction, Casey, I'll have you go first. Just how long have you been with us? What's been your biggest month with FFL, and how you found us, basically.
Yeah. Okay. So first of all, thank you for the introduction. I'm so excited to be on here. So like Nina said earlier, I started back in December. So I've been with FFL for about 6 months, going into my 7th month. And then what was your last thing, like how I got into it, or what was I doing before?
Yep.
So beforehand, I was doing marketing and business development. So I had just graduated college in 2019. And then I had done that for about like 6 months. And basically my boss was really cool. And she was like, "Do you like doing this?" And I was like, like, "Do you want my honest answer?" And so then I told her, I was like, "No, not really." And she was like, "I just think you're meant for more. Like, you can do other things." And I was like, "Okay." And so COVID kind of happened, obviously all throughout 2020. So I was looking for work, and then you reached out to me on LinkedIn and was like, "Hey, have you ever thought about getting your insurance license?" And in the back of my brain, I was like, "Absolutely not. No." I was like, not even on the radar. And then I just looked at it and I was like, this is something I could at least try. I feel like I could be good at it. And then I started rolling and I was like, I feel like this isn't even real. So right. That's a little bit about me.
I love it, Casey. One thing about you is that you've been a student of the game from day one. I know you were a college athlete. You did cheer throughout college, and you told me from the very start, "Hey, I plug into everything that my coaches tell me to do, and I'll follow the system." And that's basically how you've learned your entire life. So you were definitely a student of the game. You asked a lot of questions, and I believe that's one of the many reasons that you're super successful here with us. Katelynn, what about you? A little background, how you got started with us, how long you've been with us.
Yeah, definitely. I want to touch on Casey's little comment there on she can't even believe it's real, because I feel like that all the time. I'm like, I can't even tell you how grateful I am that somebody actually reached out to me to get me started with this. Absolutely no experience whatsoever. I found it on Instagram through Bowen. So he reached out, kind of gave me a little bit of an idea of what it was. I knew I didn't have anything to lose at the moment. I was really doing medical insurance, and I was making $17 an hour, struggling to pay bills, struggling to take care of my kid, and never seeing her. So my quality of life wasn't great either. So I went off and put my head down and took that license test, got contracted and plugged into the system. And now 90 days later, here we are. And I have a good amount of people, you know, that I shared the opportunity with, and it's really rewarding seeing them out there crushing it as well.
Absolutely. You're leading an army of people. You're recruiting a lot of females again in the business. And it's exciting to watch, Katelynn. I remember your first Instagram message to me. She didn't even have her Americo writing number. Like, she had no writing numbers. And she's like, hey, can I buy leads and get started? I'm like, let's wait on that a little bit. But you've been fired up since day one. So I'm super excited to just dig into basically everything objections. You know, that's one thing. Basically, you learn as you go. So obviously, like, we're not all good at our rebuttals from the start, but as we go and as we get better, you just have those rebuttals in the back of your head. When someone gives you an objection, you're just like good to go. And you two are some of the best people at that. So we're going to start with phones. We'll do a little role play. Casey, I know you both run a little bit of everything from instant internet leads to aged mortgage protection to new internet leads to final expense. So you guys, that's one thing about you guys, is that you guys don't just stick to one lead. You 100% diversify your lead flow. And I know you guys take the phones very seriously too. So we'll start with Casey. If you want to just run through an instant internet script, we'll kind of role play. I'll give you some objections and we'll go from there.
Cool. Sounds good. Okay. Ring, ring. Oh, obviously after you do your drink. Ring, ring.
Hello.
Nina.
Yes. Who's this?
Hey, Nina, this is Casey Traut. I'm just giving you a quick call here. I'm actually the state regulated medical field underwriter here in Maricopa County. You'd actually sent in a request to look for more information on the life insurance programs in Arizona. So Nina, I'm not the telemarketer, I'm not the salesperson. It was just my job to verify that I had the correct info on file. I have you over at 1234 Main Street. Is that a current or is that an old address?
That's a current address. What is this about?
So again, this is part of the state regulated life insurance programs. I actually just got your form on my desk the other day. Just needed to verify a date of birth. I have 10/16/1958. Does that sound right?
That's correct. Yes.
Okay, gotcha. And then Nina, when you were originally filling this out, were you looking for coverage for just you or was it for a spouse as well?
I was just looking for coverage for me, but I'm not really interested anymore.
I was going to say no problem at all. So basically my job is just to get the info out to you. We're bound by liability to actually get it out to you. I personally don't really care what you do with it. So most of the time, you know, when people fill these out, they're just looking to make sure that when they pass away, there's no burden left behind like burial or cremation, or maybe they just wanted to leave a little extra money to the family. Is that what you were looking for, or was it something different?
I was just looking for quotes.
Okay, I was going to say no problem at all. So that's totally fine. Me being the underwriter, that's my job, is to get dispatched out there just to check eligibility. But it's not a long drawn out process. So I actually kind of missed it on here, but are you a smoker or a non-smoker?
I'm a non-smoker.
Non-smoker. Okay, perfect. So then Nina, based off what you just told me, there's about a dozen options you could qualify for. And like I said, I'll actually have you off the phone in about 30 seconds. They are all non-medical. So that means no doctors, no nurses, no blood samples, no urine samples, nothing crazy like that. They just actually have me out in your area over the next 2 days. I see a ton of families, so I really don't have a lot of time. So in regards to your schedule, Nina, I know you said you were looking just for you, but are you currently married? Are you single, widowed, or divorced?
I'm single.
Okay, no problem. So in regards to your schedule, are you currently working full time? Are you part time, or are you retired?
Yeah, I'm working like 80 hours a week. I'm always working.
I was gonna say you and me both. So then what's typically the latest that you get in the door from work?
Usually around 7 p.m.
Around 7 p.m. Okay, so they got me out in your area super late to best, accommodate for people's schedules. So I don't have a 7, but I do have a 7:30 or an 8:15. Which one do you want?
Does this have to be done in person, or can we do this over the phone?
I literally wish we could do it over the phone. It would make my job so much easier, but it's just my job to make sure why they even get me out there is to check ID, make sure no one's trying to take anything out in your name, and also to make sure, God forbid, you're not like on a hospital bed or on an oxygen machine. That doesn't sound like you, right?
No, I'm healthy.
Okay, good. So they just make me check it. It only takes a couple minutes. Like I said, I am crazy swamped, so I don't have a lot of time, but I do have that 7:30 or the 8:15, which is better for you.
Let's do the 8:15. And it won't
Okay.
take long, right?
Nope. I was going to say I got one basically right after you. So I'm going to have you do, Nina. Last thing before I have you off the phone is they just require that I give you my full name and my state license number so you can verify my identity when you see me. So if you can grab a pen and a piece of paper for me to jot that down, I'll have you off the phone.
All right, I got it.
Okay. So again, my name is Casey Traut, and it's spelled Casey. Last name is Traut like the fish, except for you substitute an A with the O. So Traut. And then I will have you jot down the date and time that I'm stopping by. So it's Tuesday, July 7th at 8:15. And then I will give you my state license number when you're ready.
Okay, I'm ready.
Okay. So it's a little long, so I'll have you repeat it back to me afterwards to make sure you got it okay. So it's 19668215. And if you could repeat that back to me for verification purposes, that'd be perfect.
19668, whatever you said. Yes.
Yep. Normally it's right. Okay. Okay, perfect. So Nina, like I said, I do see a ton of families. So if you could give me a buffer time of about half an hour to an hour max after our appointment, just in case the family ahead of you has like a boatload of questions, or for some reason I get caught in super late night traffic, I'd really appreciate that.
Awesome. Well, thank you. So,
okay, awesome.
Like, notice how Casey, like, she is, no matter what, I hit her with like 7 objections just in that one phone script. And no matter what I said, she was just confident, controlled, and like ready to respond. Casey, were you like that from day one?
No. I was nervous.
Of course, right. So, I mean, the biggest thing is just having those rebuttals in the back of your head and just always remaining confident, calm, and in control. Like, your tone of voice was the same no matter what I said. You didn't freak out when I said like, oh, does this have to be done in person? No, you were just like, yeah, I wish that was like something I could do. So you were just super confident, and like you would just agree with every single thing that I objected you with. So awesome job, Casey. I hope you guys took a lot of notes on that, because that was an awesome phone script. And then Katelynn, I'll have you dial queen. I'll have you go through a little bit of a final expense phone script, and we'll go from there.
Okay, perfect. Casey, awesome job. It's going to be hard to beat.
I was just saying, Katelynn, you're a killer. So I'm excited to hear it. Hit it with all the objections, Nina.
All right, ring, ring. Or, yeah, ring, ring.
Hello?
Nina.
Who's this?
Hi, Nina. This is Katelynn. I'm just getting back to you in regard to the Facebook post you responded to about the state regulated life insurance programs that cover your funeral and final expense. So one that you put down sewing.
I never filled that out. Okay, I just hung up.
Okay. It's the one, oh, I call it right back. Right back. Ring, ring. Ring, ring.
Hello.
Nina, this is Katelynn. I am just getting back to you in regards to the Facebook post you responded to. It's the one that you put down. Okay, it's the one that you put down, sewing is your favorite hobby. Do you remember that?
Maybe.
Okay, well, let me refresh your memory. So I'm the local underwriter that has been assigned to get you the information that you requested regarding the state regulated life insurance programs that cover your funeral and final expense. So before I go any further here, I just need to verify that I'm speaking with the right person. I have your date of birth as 4/28/1993 and your address as 1087 Lupin Avenue. Are those both correct?
Those are right, but I'm not interested.
Okay, not a worry at all. So my job is just to get this information out to you because you did request it, and the form got sent into my office today. So I can stop by. I'm going to be in your area tomorrow and Wednesday, seeing all the other people who requested the same information. What day works better?
Neither. I'm busy.
Okay, I'm very busy as well, Nina. I do have to get this information out to you to release the liability off of myself. It takes about 10 minutes. So I have a 5:30 or a 6:15. Which one can I come to?
Does this cost me anything? What is this?
I'm just going to provide you with the information, Nina, and what you do with it is completely up to you. I just need to get this off my desk, get you the information that you requested, and I'll be on my way.
So it has to be done in person?
It does have to be done in person. I do have to check your ID, make sure that no one's trying to get insurance underneath your name. And it's sensitive information. So I do have to see you in person for that.
And how long is this going to take?
It'll be 10 minutes. I'm super busy. I have 10 other people I need to see tomorrow. So just trying to get you squeezed in.
Okay. If it's going to take more than 5 minutes, I won't open the door.
Okay. Well, I will be there at 5:30 tomorrow. Barring any emergencies, obviously, would there be any reason that you would not be home tomorrow at 5:30 p.m.?
I should be here, but you have to be quick.
Okay, I will be quick. I will get that information out to you. Nina, grab a pen and paper for me, please.
All right, I have it.
Okay, I'm gonna have you write down a confirmation code for security purposes. Let me know when you're ready.
Ready.
It's gonna be FFL 634. And then my license number is gonna be 410-8214. And then my full name is Katelynn Blackburn, and you can verify me when I get there.
Awesome. Thank you. You
Okay.
guys, drop a 50 in the comments below. They don't let anything bother them. Like no matter what the objection, no matter the attitude of the client, whether they're in a bad mood, whether they're in a good mood, no matter what it is, they stay level, confident, and control the whole time, which is, I find, the most important thing. So awesome. So you guys went through your phone scripts. The next thing is obviously in home. So just like we get objections over the phone, we also get them in the home. So the more appointments you run, the better you get. And then you have those rebuttals in the back of your head in every single appointment. So when Mary tells you, oh no, I'm gonna need to call my son for this, you guys know exactly what to say, just because you get better and better as you go. So we'll go from the moment that you walk to the door, because sometimes we get objections right at the door. You already booked the appointment, you gave them the confirmation code, you gave them everything they needed to know about you showing up to that appointment, and then you get to the door and we'll start with Casey. So you just came over, you booked the instant internet appointment. What would you say at the door when you get to the home?
So I knock on the door. I don't ring the doorbell. We're not like salespeople and we're not delivery people, so we don't ring doorbells. So
Wow.
I was going to say, you knock on the door because it's like you're coming into a home. It's not like a house. Like you want to be a little bit more personable. So I'm knocking on the door. I knock and I knock pretty firmly. So that way when they open the door, I'm reading their demeanor. So if they're coming to the door looking confused at me, I'm like, hey, Linda, this is Casey Traut. I'm here for our appointment today. How are you doing? And they're like, okay, whatever. If they seem a little bit more friendly, I'm like, hey, Linda, this is Casey. How's it going? So I kind of change it based off that. I don't know if you want to be Linda, but I just knock on the door and I say like, hey, Linda, this is Casey Traut. I'm here for our appointment. How are you doing?
I'm good. I totally forgot about this. Can you come at another time?
I was going to say, no problem at all. I actually have a family right after you. It's only going to take a couple minutes. So is there a best table that we can sit at? I just have to jot down information.
Yeah, that's fine. I guess you could come in. What if I said, let's just say I said, oh, you're supposed to see me and my husband. My husband's not home.
Okay. So if husband is not home, obviously, since you guys are married, you both need to hear the information about what time is he going to be home?
He'll be home in about an hour or so.
In about an hour. Okay. So I'm actually pretty jam-packed today. So what I'll do is I'm going to squeeze you in between appointments. I'll come back in about an hour. There's no reason Jim would not be back in that hour time frame, correct?
Jim should be here in an hour.
Okay, awesome. So I'm going to come back in between my appointments. Just make sure, obviously, again, that he is going to be here because I don't have a ton of time. Like I said, this is really important to you guys. So I'll come back in about an hour.
Awesome. I can't stress enough the importance of not sitting a one-legged appointment. Like if you book an appointment with a husband and a wife and the husband's home, the wife isn't, or vice versa, and you walk in, you're already shooting yourself in the foot because there's always two decision makers, even if they say there's only one. You don't want to get hit with that rebuttal when you can fight it from the start, right? Or that objection when you can fight it from the start. So great job, Casey. I like that. Again, confidence and control, like straight face, you knock on the door. I like that though. You knock on the door, you don't ring the doorbell. Do you have like a specific knock? Because some people do like the music.
Like a little like pattern? No, not really. I just want to make it known. I don't care if you're deaf or not. You're going to know that I'm there. So it's definitely me knocking on the door, but also like I don't know if anybody picked up on it, but the nonverbal cues that I do. So me looking at my watch means I'm busy. So if they're saying like, oh, I don't have time, I'm like, you know what? I got one like right after you. I don't have a ton of time either. Takes a couple minutes to get out the information. Is this a shoes on or shoes off kind of home? So I'm like, I'm ready to get it done. And like I said, me looking at my watch is telling you I don't have time either.
I love that. Yeah. Always pro tip, always wear a watch in the home, literally. So you can look at it. Like that's one thing I do. Every single home I like walk in. Hey, Mary, I have a ton of families to see today. So let's get this knocked out as fast as possible. So I love that, Casey. Katelynn, on to you. You booked your final expense appointment with me. I'm going to give you a little bit of trouble today. All right. Knock on the door. Or do you knock or do you ring?
I knock. I ring and then I knock. I give it a minute, but I knock and then, if it's somebody like I just booked you that didn't really want me to come, it's that like, oh, I forgot I meant to call you and cancel, or they called me and I still showed up. And I'm like, okay, like no worries. It's going to take me about 10 minutes. I do have to get this information out to you by the end of the day. You were on my schedule. So let's just get this taken care of. I say the same thing, like, is this a shoes on or shoes off kind of house? I've gotten a lot of the time, sometimes I get them like standing there awkwardly and they don't want you to come in and they give you this weird like look. And when their door is open and it's really hot where I run most of the time, is I'm like, let's just like save your air conditioner and just let me come in for a minute here, get this taken care of. And then I just walk in and then I'm like, is there a table I can sit at? I turn the TV off as well to make it serious. And I do take control as a professional from the very get-go in the home, and it sets the table right. So I'm not like, I don't walk in and be like, oh, cute dog, or like, like do all that. I just go straight to business. And then by the time I get to, that point of credibility, like they know why I'm here now, they know what I'm going to do. I just laid it all out for them. Now I get a little bit more personal when we're talking about why they requested the information in the first place and their major why.
Katelynn, before we get into that, let's just say you came over. Let's say you knew I was home because you saw me peeking through my blinds, but I didn't answer the door. What do you do in that case?
Well, I call you, I pick up my phone and I'm calling. And then I also do like knock on the door and I say, Nina, I can see you. Like, I see you in there. Like, let's just get this over. Like, and then I sit on the porch too. And like, I'll text them sometimes and say that I'm worried about them because they're, the car is here. Like, I'm a little concerned that you're not answering the door, like your car's here and everything. And I'll literally sit on the porch for a little while. And
that's so funny.
If they're really,
one time Hayden and I went to an appointment together for whatever reason. And we knocked on the door and we were just so tired. We were getting no sales all day. So it was an apartment complex. So we had to walk up these stairs. We knocked on the door for like 5 minutes. The lady didn't answer. So we were just so tired. Like we were going to leave, but instead we sat on the stairs and we were just resting and we were there for 20 minutes. And the lady, she walks out of her house and we're still sitting there. And we walked in and we ended up selling hers. So it's funny. Like you literally just wait and there, I mean, of course, if you have another appointment, go to your next appointment. But I love that, Katelynn. What a lot of people do is they'll take a picture of the door and say like, hey, Mary, I hear someone inside of your home. They'll send it to the client. I hear someone inside your house. Should I call the cops? And then they're very quick to call you back, right?
Well, and like this might be a little extreme, but yesterday I called the guy and he was like, so I can't come out and my caregiver's not here to open the door. Like I can't come out. So we're going to have to do this in a different time. And I was like, Jonathan, like I have 10 minutes. I really need to get this out to you. I understand. You can't get up to open the door right now. And then I just like took the door handle and I opened it and I was like, it's open. And I was like, so I'm going to come in, just direct me where you are. And I went and sold a policy. The guy was like laying in bed and he was so thankful that I came in. I was like, it's just wild. Like if you make it so assumptive that like you're here to help them, like, and I'm going to get my job done. So I'm calling you and you're telling me that I can't come in because you can't open the door. Well, I'm coming up with some way to get in, like, okay, I'm going to open the door. And I did. And I went in and
you sold them.
It was great. So
love it.
and I sold them.
One
So-
thing I notice about you two is that you're just caring. You know what I mean? It's like hard for people not to buy from you or not to, you know, be happy with you as their insurance agent because you guys just care about the client and you're going to do whatever it takes to put them in the best situation possible. And even if that means you have to be a little bit aggressive at the door to get in the house, like your main reason for doing that is because you care about them enough to, you know, make sure that you get them coverage in place, right? So awesome. So
Yeah.
we'll go through kind of like in home. You guys don't have to go through the whole thing, but we'll go through some like I feel like the biggest way to fight off any objections is from the beginning of the appointment. So you want to get their why. You want to know why they're requesting coverage. If you ask someone why they put in a request for the coverage and they tell you they just wanted quotes and you leave it at that, you're not doing anything. Like they're just going to come back at the end before you give them quotes and they're going to say, well, no, I want to think about this. Right. So it's super important to just fight it off from the very start. So we'll go back to you, Casey. What does your intro look like to fight off those objections from the start?
Yeah. So kind of like I said, right after I say, like, is this a shoes on or shoes off kind of home? Most of the time they're like, oh, no, you know, whatever. But that's also a sign of like, I'm respecting their house. And then I point to the table. I'm like, is this the best table to sit at? Because I need to write. So instantly I'm telling them, well, like we're doing business basically. So like once we get to the table, like I'm sitting there, I'm asking strategic questions that are already going to be on the application. This is a nice home. How long have you guys lived here? That's a part of application questions. How long they've been at the home. So like, oh, 5 years. I'm like, okay, got it. And then I'll ask, so were you born in Arizona? That's another application question. Like I'm asking things so I can already gear up for information later, just a little bit though. So I'm asking just a little bit in order to get them time to sit down. So then I personally don't print out the forms. I just flip open my iPad and then I put it over to them and I'm like, okay, so John, this is the form that I got on my desk, unless you gave me a different address over the phone, because half the time they look at it and they're like, oh, that's wrong. So I'll say, unless you gave me a different address over the phone, does all of that look correct? And then they'll be like, okay, yeah, everything's good. I'd be like, okay, so John, would you mind telling me, like, obviously we went over this a little bit over the phone, you wanted burial, but like what had pushed you to fill it out? Who are you looking to protect from paying for this? I'll just like,
what pushed you to fill it out? Who are you looking to protect? Those are key questions that you want to ask from the very start. So I filled it out because I wanted to, you know, just make sure my kids don't have to pay for my burial like I had to pay for my husband.
oh, okay, gotcha. Well, I'm sorry to hear about your husband. How long ago was that?
2 years ago.
Okay. Did you, if you don't mind me asking, did you have to pay out of pocket for that? Did he have any kind of coverage?
He did not. I had to pay everything out of pocket.
Okay, so that must have been really hard for you. So that's kind of what you were thinking, is you don't want to do that to your kids.
Yeah, exactly. Those are great questions that you want to ask, like dig deep. Like if I had just said, no, I just wanted to make sure my kids are taken care of. That's not enough or a big enough why. Casey digs deep. So keep going, Casey.
So then obviously her husband passed away. Be like, okay, so Nina, how many kids do you have?
3.
3. Okay. And then who would be the one who has to pick up the pieces when you pass? Like who's the one that's responsible for that?
Little Timmy.
Killing me. Okay, little Timmy. Okay, so little Timmy, is he your youngest or is he your oldest?
He's my youngest.
Okay, but he's probably the most responsible then, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so then he would be the one taking care of it. And Nina, I'm assuming that Timmy, do you have grandkids?
No.
Okay, so then Timmy, does he have a wife?
No, Timmy's single.
Okay, so then, I mean, but also, you know, the reason why I ask those is because, you know, he's got other expenses of his own, correct? I mean, he's an adult, so he's got to pay for the house, the water, the electric. He's got his own expenses. And I know, going back to your why, you don't want him to have to pull out of pocket, because I don't know about you, but you were looking for burial, correct?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, so are you familiar with how much burial costs on average?
Maybe $5,000.
So I know that you did say that you buried your husband. I know it's a little bit different per state. We also have to account for inflation. So cremation is anywhere between 5 and 10, and burials anywhere between 10 and 20. And I don't know about you, but I know I don't have 10 or 20 grand just laying around. That's a little hard to pull out of pocket. So going back to, like, I know you just don't want Timmy to have to worry about that at all. You want a check handed to him when you pass, correct?
Yep. Just to make it easier for him.
Okay. So Nina, that makes total sense as to why you filled this out. That's why most people do it anyway. And then from there, I show them my license, and that's typically my confirmation code. And I show them again, like, here, I'm not a crazy. And then I go over all the carrier information, but I go pretty deep in the why.
So you obviously you dig very deep through the why. So it's very hard for me to turn around and tell Casey, no, I don't need this coverage, right? It's very hard for me to say, I need to think about it. So Casey, let's say, you got my why, you showed your license, you showed the credibility sheet, who we work for, what we do, you dig into, I assume the medical and finance, the inventory sheet from there, correct?
Yep.
Okay.
So then after I show the carrier sheet and I go over, okay, so we do a couple different things, which is mortgage protection, regular life insurance, future safe money, income, retirement, which is like annuities, and funeral and final expenses. And that's, again, to clients, that sounds like a bunch of mumbo jumbo. And then I go back to it and I go, but for you, Nina, you were looking to make sure that, God forbid, you passed away yesterday, little Timmy is not paying like 10 to 20 grand out of pocket to pay for your expenses, correct?
That's right.
Okay. So then, Nina, like I said on the phone today, is a pretty simple process. So what we're going to do is we're going to submit a request for coverage. I would like to approve everybody that I sit with, but unfortunately I'm not the carrier. So I don't make those decisions. My job is to make sure you look as good as I can on paper. So basically, with that being said, it's not a long drawn out process. We're not doing blood samples. We're not doing urine samples, nothing like that. But they do have to identify you somehow. So, it's not like it's like an oil change. You're trying to insure your life. So with that being said, they're going to run your social, make sure that you are in fact you, and no one's trying to take anything out in your name. They're going to pair that with bank information, make sure there's no prior insurance fraud. If you do get approved, that means you're eligible for the program. And, for lack of better terms, you're not being shady with someone else's information. It has to match you. And then the last thing is your MIB report, which is the Medical Information Bureau. They have any meds that you've taken in the past that you're taking currently. And that's how they do that check on you. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I don't want to give anyone my social, my banking. I've been burned before in the past, and I just don't feel comfortable with that.
I totally understand. So Nina, I do this with people literally day in and day out. If you'd like, you can take a picture of my license, my driver's license. I am, like I said, regulated by the state of Arizona to be going over this information with you. Totally get it. But like I said, going back to your why, that's just kind of part of the submittal process. So if we don't submit and even ask if you can get coverage, they just need to know it's you. Little Timmy doesn't even have a chance of paying for it. Okay. So we're going to kind of walk through that. But first, I just kind of go through some medication questions, see where you're at, because that gives me a good idea of where I can apply for you for. And then we'll go over some financial questions just to make sure I can put you in the best spot possible. If I don't know where you're at, I sit with most people that are on the latter years of their life. So they're on pretty tight budgets. So I'm not in the business of putting anybody in a tight financial situation. So with that being said, if I don't know where you're at, I don't know how to best help you. And the last thing is any insurance you may or may not have. But that's the process that we're going to go through. And then when we submit and ask, they're either going to tell me yes or they're going to tell me no. Does that sound fair?
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, Casey, you're so credible. Like, you have your license with you. You're open. You're letting them take a picture of it. They can verify you with the state. You're explaining the process. Like, it's very hard for someone at that point to be like, oh, well, after you just went through all of that, for me to be like, oh, well, no, I'm not. No, I still don't want it. Right. Okay. So basically, from the inventory sheet, do you show pricing from there?
From after the inventory sheet. So I dig pretty deep into the inventory. Not everybody does this, but I do. I don't know if anybody's ever gotten the objection of like, you show them prices, then all of a sudden they're like, that's too tight. I break down every single thing in their budget. I ask about car payments, car insurance, health insurance, life insurance. I ask about all of it. And then at the end, I total it together. I'm like, so Mary, you spend out about $1,400 a month in expenses. That sound right?
Yeah.
And then she's like, yeah. I'm like, okay, so you said you get about 2,100 for social. So at the end of the month, Nina, about how much would you say you have typically comfortably left over?
Like 400.
And is that on average, or is that a high end, like you're doing really well that month?
Average.
Okay, average. And so then basically what I do with that piece of information that she just told me, of course, I'm not, even if Nina's 85, I'm like, okay, I'm going to try and adjust because I can't show her something that's 400. That's all she has. So after the financial inventory sheet, I say, okay, like this totally makes sense. So then I do show like the prices from there. But then how I've kind of rearranged my questions to them is when I flip it around being like, okay, so Nina, based off what you told me for burial, like I said, it's anywhere between 10 and 20,000. So I kind of jotted down based off of your budget and how much it's actually going to cost for Timmy to, afford this. Then I flip it over and I strategically say, okay, for $10,000 worth of coverage, it's about $54. And I say bucks because it makes it sound less, it's more casual. So it's about $54. For 15 grand of coverage, it's about like $72. And then 20 grand of coverage is about like $95. Now, which one to you makes the most financial sense, but gives you the peace of mind that you're looking for when you leave that check to Timmy?
Honestly, all of these are just out of my budget. These are expensive.
Okay. So I know kind of what we had
Thought
talked
it was
about.
going to be like $10 a month. Like I see those ads on TV.
Oh yeah. I was going to say, I mean, you're not the first person that's told me that. So kind of to break that down for you, Nina, like when they say that on TV, they are being truthful in a way, but it's $10 per unit. So per unit means it's about like every grand or every 1,200. So pivoting back to this, all insurance companies are really the same. So I just showed you like 10,000. That's at like this, this area, which if you calculate that from the commercials on TV, it's going to equal the same exact thing. Correct?
Wow. Yeah. I've never heard the Casey. Where'd you get that? That's awesome. So it costs $10 or whatever they say it is per unit. That's freaking legit.
So that way you break it down for them of like, that's not real. And they are being truthful to an extent, but read the fine print. It's per unit. So this means it's going to calculate to the same exact thing. So then I recredit like myself where I'm like, I do this for a living. I promise you, if there was a cheaper thing to show you, I would have. But to go back to it, if you don't apply to see, again, we can't do anything that's too tight. So if 10 grand is too tight, let's start at like 5. Let's see if we can get you covered. If we can get you covered, great. Then I'll be in contact with you. We can readjust from there. Does that sound fair?
That sounds fair. It's
okay. So then,
yeah, I mean, you fought all the objections from the start. You found out their why. You told them exactly what the process was that day. You guys were going to be submitting a request for coverage. You're going to need social banking information, all of that in order to do so. I gave you an objection there. You rebutted right back. You were confident and again, in control. And then you went through all the questions. I gave you the objection of it was way too expensive and you're down closing. What I find is like, for me at least, I always show big numbers. I show bigger numbers because it's easier to down close than it is to upsell. So you're showing her out based off burial. So you're showing her 10, 15, 20. So if those are too expensive for her, well, you can always go backwards or you can always go down. But when you're showing 5, 7, 10, like there's no more to decrease if they're telling you it's expensive, right?
Right.
That is awesome, Casey. So from there, basically, you down close. I say, oh, okay, that one will work. Then you start the application, right?
Mm-hmm. And if they're giving me a lot of hesitation, like you just did, because everybody sat with those people that still are hesitant, and you like feel a chargeback coming. So then I will make them understand. If they're telling me in their nonverbals, I don't like it's going to be too like whatever. I'm like, okay. So if you go, oh yeah, okay, that works. I'm like, okay. So again, like this is about the smallest coverage that they do for this company, but no matter what, Nina, if a tire pops, if your expenses are all really high because we broke it all down, this is going to be comfortable for you and you're not going to have to turn around and like take it away because this is important. So this should be fine month to month. We plan for longevity.
Yep. That one's good.
Okay. Awesome. So then all I need right now is just to see a driver's license and we'll get it started.
Perfect. Casey, that was amazing. You guys, I'm sure everyone took notes. I see people at the office, just their notebooks are full. So that's exciting. Katelynn, we'll go on to you. So I'm going to give you some crazy objections. So be ready.
Okay. So I walk into the home and I go immediately to the table and I set the table I pull out the financial inventory sheet and my license, and I just have them, you know, verify that I am the person that I spoke with and all that. I explain it as I take the financial inventory sheet and I say that I work for Family First Life, but I'm independent. So really all that means is I'm non-captive. So unlike State Farm or Farmers Insurance, I am carried with over 19 different carriers that are all state regulated. So really what that means that I work for you. I don't work for one company. I work for you in your individualized situation. And everyone has different medical and financial stuff going on. So I want to make sure that I can find something that is going to put you in the best position. And then from there, I dig right into the why. And when I dig into the why, I have a lot of questions. And I really do think that I come off really genuine in the way of like, they do disclose information to me that helps me really put them in the best position. So I ask the questions of, you know, who are you trying to protect? How many kids do you have? What would it look like if John didn't come home, Mary? What would that look like for you guys? Do you have anything currently in place? Do you have coverage for your home? You know, all those questions, and it gets them to, you know, start rolling on why they really originally filled this out. Because like Casey said, you're going to get those objections pretty much from the start, you know, and if you can kind of.
What if I said, so you came in, you showed me everything, and you asked me my why. So you basically asked me why I filled out the form or why I requested the information. And I say, you know, I just want quotes.
Then I say, well, Nina, we're going to go through the process because I really don't know what the quote's going to be for you individually. So we're going to go ahead. I'm going to ask you some medical and financial questions, dig a little deeper and see where you stand with that. And then at that point, I will find 3 different options that I can show you that makes the most sense for you and your family.
Okay.
And then I go right into the financial inventory sheet. I ask all the questions on there. I ask about if they have a will in place. You know, do you have a will? Do you have your final wishes? All of that, just to really gets their mind rolling on like what it would look like when that does happen. And then from there, I mean, I have a pretty good idea. And then I go into it and say I run everybody through Americo first, because at that point it does a little pre-check and it will pop back up at me and it will let me know if I need to pivot elsewhere. And so from there, I just go into it and I say that we're going to submit a request for coverage, and I don't get a lot of pushback on it, honestly. Like I go right into it and I'm very direct in how I'm doing it, and I set it up very well. And honestly, I don't get a lot of pushback. Like I don't get a lot of like social security pushback. I look straight down. I don't look at them when I'm asking for that information. If I do get that, and you know, because we always will get the few that will, I always say that we're just going to match your medical records with your social, just to see, you know, the MIB, the prescription history, see what's going on here. And then usually it's fine. We move past that. The quotes, you know, I do break down their budget like Casey. I have a ton of questions as to exactly what bills they have, how much money they're bringing in, if they're getting assistance anywhere else for food or anything else, possibly, you know, I put that in there. And then I always make sure when I show them the quotes that I say, you know, Nina, these are the 3 that I came up with for you. And based on finances and what you feel comfortable with, which one feels the most comfortable and makes sense for you financially?
Neither of them. I just really want to shop around.
Okay. So are you saying that because you feel that you wouldn't be able to sustain $50 per month after month, Nina?
No,
for your family?
honestly, there's like just so many insurance companies out there, and I just really want to meet with a couple other people before I can.
Okay, well, that totally makes sense. I completely agree with you. Most families actually do submit multiple requests to see different coverage options, but right now I can't help you further if we don't at least submit a request for coverage to see if you can get qualified for one of these. At that point, you'll work with me. We can adjust the coverage up or down if you do get approved. Is that fair?
Well, it's fair. The one in the middle looks good, but this is something that I'm going to have to run by my son, Timmy, before we sign anything.
Okay. So your son, Timmy, you have to run that by him because he is in charge of your finances, or why?
He would be the one that's paying for my funeral. So yeah, I guess
Okay.
I just want to make sure
Yeah.
that he thinks it's the right thing. I think he might already have something like this set up for me.
Okay. So Nina, Timmy is the person that would be left with the burden when you do pass. And at the end of the day, this is for Timmy. And when you pass, this is a gift to him. I know that if my mom were to ask me, like, should I get this life insurance? It's going to cost me this amount of money per month. I know that I probably would tell her, no, mom, you don't need it. But at the end of the day, when something does happen and I don't have just 20 grand laying around to take care of the funeral and final expense, that's what you're leaving him, so that he doesn't have to worry about that. He has his own family, he has his own bills. And when this time does come, Nina, you don't know what situation he's going to be in financially. Circumstances can change, and you don't want to leave him completely burdened when you do pass.
You guys make me want to buy a ton of insurance for Timmy.
Timmy's gonna be taken care of.
You guys are awesome. So, Katelynn, what if someone's like, you did the app, and you still feel that like I'm a little bit hesitant, like, oh, like, yeah, you're like cementing it, and I'm like, I'm still gonna call Timmy. I'm still gonna tell him about this. What would you do from there?
So if they're a little hesitant at the end, I'm very transparent with them as far as letting them know that, we want to pick a number that's going to be sustainable month after month, year after year, because at the end of the day, if you can't sustain these payments, the policy is going to lapse and it's going to do you and your family no good. So we want to make sure that we pick that number. So we go from there. And then I explain the whole process to them is that if they do get approved, the premium is going to be drafted. And from that, we can make any adjustments that we need. I understand that you want to talk to Timmy about it. But at the end of the day, Nina, this is for Timmy, and he's gonna, when you do pass or when something happens to you, he's gonna be the one that will give me a call and I'll take care of this for you. Okay.
You literally just reiterate exactly everything you said during the appointment. And that is,
I just go back to it each time. And at the end of the day, I feel like I always say, when someone passes away, people, it's very emotional. And to have somebody that you can actually call and take care of this for you versus just a company or being on hold with a carrier forever and trying to take care of that, like, you actually have a person to talk to. So I think that cementing is really important at the end, guys. Like, I think it's sad when you walk into a home and somebody has a policy and they don't know who sold it to them. That's sad to me. I have my business card. I have the client profile. Like, you can take a picture with them. I'll put the business card on the fridge. I put my phone number in their cell phone and send them a picture so that they know exactly who I am. And so that they know that I'm going to be there to take care of that on the day that actually happens.
And you guys give them just like such a comfortable and, smooth process of getting them covered. Like, this stuff is really important. And it's safe to say that you guys both know the importance of like sitting down with these clients and like fighting everything just to make sure that they're protected when, the worst day of their lives comes. So you guys are incredible. We'll leave off at this. What are your goals for the rest of the year? So we just completed week 2 of July. What do you guys have lined up for the rest of the year?
Hall of Fame for both of us.
Hall of Fame, baby.
Let's go.
For sure.
I have no doubt in my mind you guys are absolutely going to demolish Hall of Fame. Everyone comment HOF for Hall of Fame below if you guys know that Casey and Katelynn are going to crush it. Thank you, ladies, for pouring into us all today. I even took a lot away from that. And let's go crush the rest of Dial Day. Dial Day is payday, 15+ appointments or die. Have a good one.